Well, hello friends. I am so glad you're here for another look at what we've been eating around here lately. This week I have 3 really delicious chicken dishes to show you. Plus, be sure and stay to the very end. I made a carrot cake bread that was to die for. So let's just get right on into this video. Alright, the first recipe I am showing you is a chicken and squash casserole. I had these 2 smallish squash that were from Gunnar and Abigail's garden, our son and sweet daughter-in-law, and I just estimated this would be about what I needed, which was I think about 3 cups-ish, 2.5, 3, and it was. So I got that all grated up. This is a great recipe if you have summer squash in your garden coming on and you want something different to do with it. This is a good one for that. In fact, a few years back when we grew a garden, we've been married 32 years and we've had a garden a lot of those years, but the past few years we just haven't, due to not having enough time really. But a few years back I had a lot of squash, and so I experimented with a lot of squash casseroles, and this one I really liked. So as you can see here, I've been adding in all sorts of good things. Squash, it calls for sour cream or cottage cheese. I used cottage cheese this time around. It takes a box of Jiffy corn muffin mix, an egg, some seasonings. You mix this together. I cooked up 1 boneless, skinless chicken breast, shredded that up, and that's the chicken portion. And that's what I loved about this one. By adding in this chicken, you've pretty much got a complete casserole. You've got your meat plus your veggie in there, and I love the sweet flavor that comes from the Jiffy cornbread mix. It's really good. So look below for this full recipe. I'll have it down there for you. I think it calls for a cup of cheese. I like to add about a half cup into the casserole and then top it with the other. And you bake this for, it does take a little while, I will say that. And it's kind of like, it kind of reminds you in a way of like a corn casserole, to where you've got to let it bake good enough to where it sets and it gets firm. Everything's kind of cooked through. So like I said, everything will be down below. This is a really good one if you haven't tried a squash chicken casserole. There's a lot of them out there, but like I said, I was on a kick of trying a bunch, and this is one that I found that we really liked, and so I kept this recipe so I would not lose it because it was a good one. For a side, I just cooked up in the oven. Since my casserole was in there, my oven was already going. I did some asparagus. I like to put it on a sheet tray when I'm doing it in the oven, put a little bit of olive oil or butter, and then season it up however it suits you best. I used the caramelized onion butter today and some black pepper, and let this bake in the oven. And then I made some mashed potatoes as well because James is not a fan of asparagus. Here it is, all golden brown out of the oven. This is so good. Definitely encourage you to try it if you haven't. If you think you would like something like this is a good one to try. Another night we are going to have fried chicken tenders, and I wanted to have baked potatoes to go along with it. So I just put some olive oil and some pink Himalayan sea salt on that, just rubbed it all in, got that in the oven, and here are the chicken tenderloins that I'm going to get started with. So potatoes, of course, take a little while. So I got those in the oven, and then I'm going to use milk and lemon juice to make buttermilk, if you will. I didn't have any buttermilk, but I knew this would do the trick. So you want to do this in enough time, just give it a few minutes so everything kind of sets up and kind of turns into buttermilk. So I got that ready. What I decided to do this evening, I actually thought about getting like Popeyes or some sort of chicken tenders like that. I thought sounded so good, then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to pick up this package while I'm at the grocery store, and I'm going to do it myself. So here they are, all in the buttermilk, and I'm just putting salt, garlic powder, and then I'm going in with this Cajun seasoning. If you've ever had Popeye's chicken, it's kind of a Cajun style or Louisiana style, so I knew this Cajun seasoning that I had in my spice cabinet would be great. And to my flour here, I'm adding a little bit of panko breadcrumbs. And so I'm just going to dip the chicken into the flour mixture and then back into the buttermilk and then back into the flour mixture. Now, I don't fry chicken like this very often. It was good, but it was a lot of breading. So I don't know. It wasn't my very, very favorite, but I will say it was good for sure. The flavor was there, and that's what I was going for. But it was a lot of breading. So I guess I just prefer, when I'm doing it here at home, just a lighter coating on there, just personal preference. But like I said, the flavor was great. You could taste that Cajun seasoning. It had a great spice to it, but it was not hot. That was really delicious. So I just basically went through all of these, got them all coated, fried them in the skillet on the stove, easy peasy. These were very tender. I think it was because of the buttermilk soak there. They were just really, really good. For another side, I wanted some homemade macaroni and cheese with like a homemade cheese sauce. I'm going to blame this on Jessica O'Donoghue because she just showed the most amazing looking macaroni and cheese. And she's a macaroni and cheese and chicken tender girl. So I'm going to blame her for this. Thank you for the inspiration. I usually don't make mine from scratch this way, but it was so good. So, so good. It was worth the extra time and effort. I love my little cheese shredder. It's just perfect. I haven't had this out in a little while, and so this was a Colby Jack. That's what I had to use. So I got that all shredded up. So you just start off with basically a roux, so a butter, some flour, cook that a little bit, add some cheese to it, and some milk, your seasonings, and then cook your macaroni and cheese, your macaroni separate, add it into your cheese sauce. Oh my goodness. Like I said, worth the extra effort. My husband said this mac and cheese was just his favorite part of the whole meal. He's like, you should make this more often this way. What I did add in a little bit of this ground mustard here, and then I had some of the white queso, and I decided to add that in, so it had just a little bit of a spicy taste. It really wasn't spicy, but you could taste it was like a pepper jack type of flavor in there from that cheese. So delicious. Yeah, a little shake of paprika. I didn't measure any of this. I didn't follow a recipe. There are a bunch online that you could look up, and I'm sure most of you probably make your own like this anyway. You probably have a yummy family favorite recipe that you use. And so I just kind of put some things together tonight to make this mac and cheese. This was my grocery day. I don't know. I haven't been feeling great lately. That's why we only have 3 meals that I'm showing you here, plus a dessert. I've had a rough couple of weeks, but anyhow, all that to say, it was worth the extra effort. Even though I wasn't feeling like it, I knew what I wanted, and I did it. Look how creamy this is. I just put the lid on this after this was all done until everything else was ready, and it got a little thicker as it was sitting there. It was just delicious. We loved it. And then the baked potatoes, of course, were just great. And then on top there, some of the best honey mustard that we got from an apple orchard that's not far from us. That's what we topped it with. This was really, really good. Hello everyone. Tonight I'm making one of our absolute top family favorites. It's called chicken Rotel spaghetti. I have never shared this on my channel, I don't believe. I'm not going to show the entire thing today because I have got such a headache today. This is the second day in a row, but I'm going to show you just a little bit here and there, and then I'll show this whole recipe sometime soon. But basically, you want to have some chicken, mushrooms, green pepper, and onion. That's what I have here. My chicken was cooked yesterday. I'm using some chicken tenders that we had for dinner yesterday that I made from scratch. That's my chicken component. And then instead of a green pepper, I've got a poblano. Those are sauteing together there in butter. And then I'm bringing some water to a boil here, and I'm going to cook up some spaghetti. I'm going to be adding my Knorr chicken bouillon to make chicken broth with this water. And then I'll add in some Velveeta and angel hair pasta, and that will be chicken Rotel spaghetti tonight. It's a really dark, dreary day here today. All day it's been nice and cozy, but I am just not feeling my best. But I'll show you my plate when we have this all done. And I just pulled this out of the oven. I'm going to let it rest for a few minutes. In the meantime, I've got some of the everything bagel seasoned bread, I think is what it's called, something like that. Just making some garlic bread here on top of the stove, and serve this with a little bit of red pepper flakes and Parmesan is how we like to eat it. This is one of those meals, it hits the spot every time. I've shared this recipe with so many of my friends and family. Always delicious, and the leftovers are even better. Now to the carrot cake bread recipe. Yes, it has bananas in it. Bananas and fresh carrots. I actually saw plenty of recipes for carrot cake bread that did not require bananas, but I actually had two that needed to be used. So, down below in the description box, you will find this recipe. It's the usual suspects: flour, sugar, brown sugar, eggs, oil, an egg rather, sour cream, and then of course the carrots, a cup of carrots, 2 bananas, some pecans in and on top. And years ago when my boys were in kindergarten, they're 28 years old now, they had a little recipe book that was put together from their classroom, and one of the recipes, and their teacher actually did this with them, was a banana bread, and they put it all in a gallon Ziploc bag, and they just squished it up with their hands, and then, you know, opened the bag and poured it into the pan. Ever since that day, I knew that baking a bread with banana, something like that, it doesn't have to get, you know, your bananas don't have to be smushed ahead of time. It really is pretty simple. So I didn't even smash those bananas ahead. I threw them in there. Everything got stirred together. Absolute perfection is what this carrot cake bread was. I just made a carrot cake for my father-in-law's birthday. You saw that a couple videos ago, if you saw that one anyway. And since then, we've talked about how good the carrot cake was, and I just kind of started looking around, and I found carrot cake bread. I never heard of it. So how cool is that idea? Let me just say it did not disappoint. Here it is, fresh out of the oven, and I actually had made too much of the frosting when I made it for the carrot cake. So it's just basically a cream cheese frosting, cream cheese, butter, powdered sugar, vanilla. So it was the perfect amount to go on top of this. There's plenty of recipes without any icing or glaze or whatever, and there's some that have it. But this took it over the top, and then I just went through and crumbled some of the pecans that I had as a topping, and this did not disappoint. So if you're looking for something new to make, a new bread, and actually it has kind of that fall feel because of the carrot cake and those flavors there, this one is one that you definitely want to try. Look at this. Doesn't it look so pretty? And it was just moist, delicious, everything that you want a bread to be. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I know this was a little shorter than normal, a few less recipes than normal. Hopefully we'll be back in business per usual next week. Hope you guys are doing great. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you've not. I'll see you next time. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.